November 2nd, 2021. I'm thinking to myself at the moment about there's some preserve, and I don't know why the P9 fell off, and then it became a reserve, and then the reef fell off. The reef fell off, and then it became a serve. Well, I'm in service at the moment, but the man that I'm in service for and to, and should be face to face in close proximity, I use a theoretical where he's the coach at the edge of the swim lane, because if I'm in the pool swimming by myself, I don't mind following the instructions he's yelling at me. But if I stop hearing instructions, am I to just sit there and tread water until I drowned? I mean, this scenario does not make sense. Then to further that, if the, auditorium gets taken over, if he has to if he removes himself for a minute to go to some wiffle ball tournament, this is all, what I feel like is between preserve and preserve, to preserve something before you get to service within something, in order to preserve your monologue, your epilogue, your relationship to some man that you don't mind serving. Like, I was happy with what I had before I got thrown into some lagoon or some pool scenario with there not being any head coach or any coach on the sidelines. So now I'm a little confused, a little disoriented. It's like, for those that know boating, which I do not, but I have seen on one of the televisions, when the only television I've really allowed myself to be exposed to, and my children, is some psychologically appropriate cartoons, and mostly on Disney and Disney Junior, since they were just animals and there was no assignment of animals or names or characteristics to my children. They were just in a lagoon. So now I've seen they have this thing on TV that I used to love on Discovery Channel called Shark Week, because I have never been able to be around marine biologists. I've not been that fortunate. I haven't been around research teams. I have no idea how they even get opportunity to do so. Again, there's no head coach or even coach at the end of my swim lane in my anything after 7th grade. So now, when there's some kind of riptide, Riptide, or rip current, Ripcurrent, for the admirable and respectable out on water that doesn't know the disgustingness of man on shore, of what I might be experiencing. So I'm like a different language to you completely. I might speak English, but it might not be the English that you learned from the street liars and enemy criminal children from everywhere, up to no good and just whatever, trying to save themselves. So now, in this theoretical, if the rip tide and the rip current pulled the water away from shore, and there was some, like they used to say at Fisherman's Wharf, like gift from the gods that this anomalous like lagoon, Lagoon, exists somehow in the coral, built itself into like a little wading pool. If I'm one of the fish in the wading pool, wading, Wading, not waiting, Waiting, although it might look the same, but it depends if there's seagulls around or loons, Loons, which is a seafaring bird, I've heard. If I'm one of those fish, there's other fish that got trapped in this lagoon. There's been people who have fished out fish and then put new fish in my lagoon. It's got its own subset climate or acclimate of things that have happened. And we'll call this one lagoon from the expanse of the zip code of 11361 that I've residented and circadian rhythmed in, out to as far as Patchogue, I believe, which is 11772, because that's really the main stretch of where I have cycled in sleep, for this lagoon scenario of I didn't ask to be trapped in this facility. I was adamantly against it. There's something going on between consumption being a disease, being a process, being products and materials, and then the entrapment by causing this tsunami with a riptide that went overreached my head and then pulled back the water before the next tsunami came. And I am stuck in this cycle process of I can't get out of it, somewhere between what I would call a UK to US to a possibility of a U5. I don't know. This is UK, US, U5. I had to preserve my relationship with my betrothed, but I'm ill begot in this situation to my behest. And now it's become a hindrance that I can't seem to get out of, between their thirst and quench for this automotion and automation and this push and power sales presentation to the children who just want to consume and get ahead and be the best. And I couldn't be further from one of those machines. My analog and digital process does not work on the same emotion or emotional track as the automotion kids. I have no desire to be part of it or be one of them or amongst them. I don't know how I got pulled or tacked out of where I needed to be in safety and protection of one man who has some head coaches and some swimming facility that he doesn't have to disclose certain things. I don't know how to get back into that special swim facility because it was a special invitation into that swim facility originally for that one swim season in respectable seventh grade swim gear for the respectable school that I was at. And then we returned back to respectable school and waited for marriage, which for me never came. I got a totally different script than I was meant for. And I don't understand how they did this switcheroo at any level. I'm thinking that I spoke to this man in the park yesterday named Richard. He said that he doesn't want to give his grandchildren vaccines because he hears it enlarges their heart, the children. Why would he, as a grandparent, want his grandchildren to have an enlarged heart? It's interesting. Under this consumption plan, I don't understand. It's a deadly disease in the Bible, consumption. Why would this US and UK consumption and automotion plan and push and push and push and push into the sandy beach? I'm just U5 at the Lagoon at the moment. I'm trapped in a Riptide tsunami situation, totally single and separate than the rest of what's been going from the ship to the shore, from the ship to the shore, around my lagoon situation. Now, it's also interesting for bean counters being BEAN because legume, LEGUME, sounds sometimes like lagoon, LAGOON. So there is a clear distinction there. I'm star 1978 star 8378 Nicole Cattaruzza. I do not know. I looked this morning. I did honest work here at the bank to try to get on, like, compensation to feed my children while I'm stuck in this lagoon mess with the consumption children running from ship to shore around my lagoon trying to ignore me and whatever's stuck in it. Does not matter where we rest our heads. It's what it feels like. On this instrument, it says the United States of America, and then it says Federal Reserve. So I have time and spatial placement. I do not have access to tasks I can complete to earn these notes from the locals in the lagoon that I'm trapped in. While ship to shore has been handing notes and task lists out to others as they've been busy at work. I don't know how to clothe or keep myself hygienic without some of these safety notes to protect myself. I don't know, there's been no instruction as to tasks needed to complete. There was something back in the day when I was, right before I left Jason, called mystery shopping. I don't know what happened to that field. I was good at it, but it didn't pay much. So, and it required technicality of, like, I was okay with faxing something over to the professionals, but they wanted it scanned and then emailed and all this new process. I wanted to file it in my filing cabinet and hold on to it, but the ship to shore kids are like, I really feel like they're poisoning when people aren't looking in the lagoon that I'm standing in. And I don't know how to protect myself. I also don't know how to find tasks to earn this respectably and earn enough to live with my own children at this point because I can't even keep a roof over their head. I don't know if there's some kind of program where everybody gets this without completing tasks. That's interesting theory. And I know that it does exist. I just don't know what they call themselves. So now, and I don't know how to identify myself amongst, I call them humans, the ship to shore kids, and whatever the hell's in the lagoon with me. There's some form of human. I'm just one of something with special need else that needs to get elsewhere, that had certainly a different dynamic and a certain different storyline at preserve and serve to protect, but I got stuck in some reserve system and never called with tasks in order to earn notes and federally protect myself from, or United States protect myself from the ship to shore kids that keep running back and forth on some consumption schedule. More, mass, 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 mass. That's how I refer to them because it's what they look like. I'm just a fish trying to figure out how many tasks I have to complete, where I find tasks, and how I get a couple of this so this way I can eat, clothe myself, and feel good at the end of the day that I contributed something to the lagoon to protect ourselves from the mass children running back and forth. It's been a little difficult to put all the ducks in a row. My son said the other night he walked by Shanghai U on Bell Boulevard, and there's ducks, like there's theoretical ducks in like some 3D projection system hanging and cooking, but they're not real. And then there's the real ones down in the basement. They had the door open that are frozen, just hanging there. And my son's like, that's gross. Why would they do that to all the chickens? And I'm like, yeah, they're ducks, I think. Usually they eat duck, not chicken. But and then somebody else mentioned they were slimy. I was just like, oh my God, I don't like eating live things. But anyway, so here we are on consumption, and then I'm like, what is this new vaccine for COVID? Is this like they consume too much? They got the bill for something, so they're like, oh, let's bioengineer and push off all the problems to our kids now? I'm just confused because my shitbags gave me bioengineered products without me being informed or knowing, and they were supposed to be my protector units, being Lynn and Lou. I didn't have a choice. I didn't get a choice, and they don't have an education on what the hell it meant. Not that I'm aware of, because they didn't cop to the fact that they knew anything. So now I'm just curious, since they have no education, they just stuck me with all these needles. Oh, by the way, this morning down south, the really, bless your heart, kids, they're calling it a poke. It's the same shot, poke. Same system. One's for kids, one's for adults. It's still unacceptable in, like, pushing this automation feature where now you're changing people's DNA and biology in order to compensate this hungry machine. The machine's not hungry. The machine knows what it needs. It's in a lagoon, and the ship to shore kids are trying to come up with alternate solutions than doing what it needs to do, which is letting the head coach at the one swim facility that his teammate is stuck in or trapped in get back to where they need to go. And they know some things, but they don't want to disclose those things. But it fixes a whole lot of things that everybody's worried about from ship to shore. And there will still be tasks. There will still be some notes given out. And there will still be ways to protect oneself, even though I have never been given that same opportunity while I was trapped in this riptide, in this lagoon. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, the galaxy is broken. I don't know by divine inspiration and wisdom, I was walking this morning, and the whole, like, lagoon situation, I'm like, right, if tsunami came and then ripped all, but there was, the lagoon stayed. That's an interesting theoretic. And then to just build upon that with what my son is experiencing right now. I mean, my oldest is now 22, Benjamin, the Y2K baby. He has, he's living with Jason. There's not even a girl to be interested in because they don't exist in this riptide of we're special needs kids, he and we don't have special needs committed that are around, apparently. According to visual inspection, I don't see them. And then there is, let's think about this. He is receiving some form of task and paycheck, which is nice that somebody set him up with it, but it's not the type of task to earned note that is going to last him a lifetime. And it's certainly not acceptable based on the fact that he's trapped in the lagoon with myself after I got shot up with pokes and vaccines and shots without even a choice in the matter to offset somebody else's bill or mistakes from previous reserve. I was pre-served, to protect. I am now in a really dangerous position, stuck in a lagoon, and I feel like the seagulls are just right overhead. And I'm like, I don't know what else to do. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.